This is Swati Ganeti, leads undergraduate program at the Masters Union. इनके बारे में मैं अगर आपको बताऊं, she's a dynamic professional who holds the position of leading the undergraduate program at the Masters Union. With a very strong background in education and administration, Swati plays a pivotal role in shaping the academic journey of undergraduate students at the institution. Her dedication and expertise contribute significantly for the development and implementation of innovative educational strategies, ensuring that students receive a holistic and enriching learning experience. Swati Ganeti's commitment to excellence in education reflects her passion for nurturing the future leaders and change makers of tomorrow, which I think pretty much is what our society needs. Please give it up for our first keynote speaker, Swati Ganeti.
When Akshay invited me, we discussed, what should be the topic. And I'm going to keep it very, very experiential today, because the topic was the new age of experiential learning. Now, you are school owners here, you are principals here, directors here. So would love to, just raise your hand if you are in your schools, thinking about having experiential learning. Throw away the books, not that theoretical, but let's figure out how do we do experiential learning. IB schools are in these days. So just raise your hands, just want to understand how relevant it's going to be for the people here. Okay, so, okay, great. Around half of you kind of want to know. Before I even go into that and talk about how we have implemented experiential learning at Masters Union, I'll talk about my background and journey, because that will kind of give you a glimpse of, how we built it up at Masters Union. Before that, do you know about Masters Union? Raise your hand. Usually I expect the answer to be no, so just raise your hand if you know about Masters Union. No. Okay. Very, very few people. So, okay, let's start with basics here then. I am not from the world of academia. When I was introduced, felt like, I'm from academia, but I come from, my undergrad was IIT Delhi. Now, you have a lot of kids in the schools preparing for JEE. Around 15 years back, I was that kid preparing for JEE, and with God's grace, I made it to IIT Delhi. Spent wonderful 5 years doing electronics engineering, and then realized कि यार engineering नहीं करना. सब बोलते हैं engineering कर लो फिर MBA कर लेना, right? Have we said that, or have we heard those statements? Raise your hand. Yeah. तो मुझे भी बोला गया था, and then I went to one of the best colleges in India, and then when I graduated, I saw most of my seniors going into business management roles, right? You would know, IITians go into consulting, investment banking, finance, startups these days, right? So 80% of us go into business management roles. I was one of them. I went into strategy consulting, did Bain, which is, one of the top 3 consulting firms. And then I went for my MBA, जो सबने बोला था, बेटा B.Tech कर लो, MBA कर लेना. I went to US, did my MBA at Wharton, UPenn. How many of you know about UPenn? Okay, do you know about Elon Musk? I'm sure, raise your hands please, let's get some energy in the room. Okay, do we know about Sundar Pichai? Yes, Google CEO Sundar Pichai. Do we know about Donald Trump? I'm not proud of him, but yes, all 3 of them are alumni of UPenn. So that's the kind of college that I went to and did my MBA and learned a lot, right? I started comparing the Indian education system to the education system in West. And I came back to India and I said, we need that kind of education in India. You have Satya Nadella, you have Sundar Pichai, you have Parag Agarwal. All of these are tech CEOs sitting in US. Right now we have Rishi Sunak as the Prime Minister. So you have so many Indian leaders at the global stage, but you don't have a global world-class B school in India yet. Our business schools, no matter how great they are, they don't feature in the top 30 or 40 in the world rankings. So we said, okay, what are we trained in Ivy Leagues and IITs? We are trained to be the change that you wish to see. So we said we will build a business school in India that will be on experiential learning. And in 2020, we started Masters Union with 2 changes to how education is done in India. So we are a college, we are a very new age college. We do 4-year undergrad and we do 1-year MBA. And the way we teach our kids are very, very different. If I keep speaking, it'll become very boring. So I'm going to request the team here to play the video. That was an example of how we teach at Masters Union. Thanks for the applause. Now, we've all been on the panel where, people are discussing the disconnect between academia and industry. Right? Now, the conversation started with colleges and higher education. Now, the same conversation has also gone to schools, right? So continuing the story, and I'll also talk about how we help schools bring industry to the schools as well. But we said, okay, let's set up a school where industry academicians will come and teach, right? So we made 2 big changes to the traditional college system. We set up ourselves right in DLF Cyber Park. So our college is actually 5 minutes drive away from here. So if you're interested, happy to host you. It's right opposite the Ambience Mall on the other side of the highway in the glass building. So we said, see, when people study medicine, surgeons are gonna come and teach you how to do surgery. Nobody reads a book on how to do a surgery, right? And when pilots get trained to fly planes, and we all have taken flights today, the pilots learn from pilots. Nobody reads a book on how to fly a plane. You have to fly a plane to learn it. So why in the world of business are we reading books? Why are business leaders not teaching how to run a business, right? So we said, okay, we have great CEOs in the industry. We have great CXOs. Now we have unicorn founders in India, so many of them, more than 100 of them. Why can't we bring them to come and teach in a business school and teach our students how businesses run, right? So that's the one change we made. 70% of our faculty, we said they're going to be CEOs and CXOs of the country, not the people from academia. It's great, and people from academia are great in teaching the basics, right? So all our fundamental concepts like accounting, marketing 101, corp finance 101, we bring academicians to teach because they're great at doing that, right? Second, we said we'll make 50% of our curriculum practical. There's a lot of conversation, curriculum practical hona chahiye, bachcho ko activities karna chahiye, but then it's not implemented to that extent. So we said 50% of the curriculum has to be outside the class, which means that kids will build a startup as part of the curriculum. You may not be interested in entrepreneurship, but you will build a startup as part of the curriculum. Now, anybody can tell me why we made that mandatory? We made that mandatory because I can tell you, I did 2 years of an Ivy League MBA. I didn't learn as much as I learned while 1 year of building a startup on my own. The first sale to a customer teaches you sales. When you're yourself figuring out how a Facebook or an Instagram campaign works, that teaches you marketing, right? Not just sitting in a fancy class of an Ivy League school. So we incorporated a lot of that, and we said we will be in a business park so that our students can work on projects and internships with these companies, right? So we have BCG in the same campus, Samsung in the same campus, and there's full immersion. Again, not making it a monologue. So if we could just play the video of the faculty, I would really appreciate that, to give you a glimpse of what kind of industry teachers we have. So that was an example, the video you just saw, that was an example of our students building their startups and putting a mela or kind of a fair in one of the business parks. In fact, today is the day when our class of 2024 is again putting up a fair in the World Mark in Sector 65. So in the evening, if you guys are free, would love to have you in Sector 65 World Mark to see how these kids learn business by doing business. Now, one of the questions that you might be asking is, Swati, all of this is great, but how is it related to our schools, right? So as I said, we have a one-year MBA, and probably you saw a lot of students of the MBA program. We also, starting last year, and we have our first batch in of 150 students, we also have a 4-year undergrad program in tech and business management. And we believe that the need is much more in the undergrad than in the MBAs. In MBA, you still have IIMs, right? They have great quality education. But you talk about undergrad, you don't have great quality institutions in business management in undergrad, despite so many, majority of the students in 11th and 12th taking up commerce, right? When we talk of liberal arts, Ashoka comes to mind. When we talk of engineering, probably IITs come to mind, right? We talk of law, probably Jindal School comes to mind. But when we talk about business management, do we have a school in India that comes to mind? Great. So that's why we also see a lot of students going abroad. So this is our initiative, and how we want to partner with schools is that we want to bring that experience of entrepreneurship and industry exposure to the schools. So we have something called Startup Weekends, where we bring in experts, founders, VCs, to do a 2-day startup weekend in your school, or we are happy to host your students in our campus as well. And we make them go through the journey of figuring out a problem statement, creating an MVP, doing customer research, and finally pitching their deck to the real investors in India, right? So I'm gonna again present a short video, approximately a 2-minute video, on how these startup weekends are organized. And if you're interested in doing that, me and my team are here, happy to take the conversation forward. And if you want to come to our campus, we are right 5 minutes away. Can we play the last video, please? Last video, I'm around, happy to have a conversation, but I hope it gave you a glimpse of how we are integrating experiential learning into the curriculum, and probably helps you integrate the same in your schools. Thank you.
Check. I'd ask ma'am to please stay there, right there, and I'll ask Mr. Akshay Ahuja to please give a small token of thanks to Swati ma'am. Guys, can I please request you to put your hands together when there's a guest on the stage, please? And thank you so much, Swati Ganeti ma'am. I think what I could understand, the zest of it is it's time for action rather than just staying in those 4 walls and learn things. Thank you so much.